for coaches by coaches. Welcome from me, your host, Jaco Fourie, and also from regular news in Gauteng, who's running all the technical things for us. Well, it has been 81 days of lockdown. Who would have thought? But yeah, we could potentially get some good news from SAF this week regarding shows, as equestrian is a non-contact sport. So yeah, we're all waiting with bated breath to see what's going to happen with the opening up of shows potentially. Then on some other news, Marianne Conlon, one of our senior dressage coaches, she had a brain aneurysm. She's had an operation and she's home now, doing well and getting better. So we wish Marianne a speedy recovery. We know what a fighter she is, so yeah, I'm sure you'll see her back soon. Then also the South African Lipizzanas, like we spoke last time, since they don't do any shows at the moment, there's no income coming in and they've got to pay for the horses. So at the end of this webinar, we will have the Backer Buddy website on again, that you can go make any kind of donation and then get access to their training and setup videos there. So if you can all just go and support. Right, COVID-19 has really changed the equestrian scene for all of us. One of the aspects that has really affected the equine industry is the sale of horses. And with the restriction on traveling and the prohibition of public gatherings, horse auctions worldwide would have had to be cancelled. But many international auctions decided to go online. And we would like to run a quick poll with the guests in our room tonight. Obviously, thank you to Regular, who does all the technical posts of these webinars. And if all of you could just please, when the poll comes up, do the quick selection there. So I'll just read the questions for you. Number one, are you a coach? Just a yes or no. Number two, are you currently looking to buy or sell a horse? And then with some options there, looking to buy a horse for myself, looking to buy a horse for a client, and looking to sell a horse. Number three, have you been to a real life auction either in SA or abroad? So your choices there again, I've been to an auction in South Africa, I've been to an auction abroad, or I've never been to a real life horse auction. Then the fourth question there, are you actually planning on registering and participating in the online auction for Callaho? Just a quick yes or no. And then question five, how would you sum up your thoughts about this online auction? So there's a multiple choice, you can choose more than one there. I'm looking forward to this auction online. I already cast my eyes on horses to potentially buy. I'm curious how the online auction could work. I'm not sure about it. I'm lacking technological savvy, or I'm concerned about online fraud. I'm not really interested in any auction. I'm lacking the trust for dealers or auctions in general. Or your last one, I'm not comfortable buying a horse without proper due diligence, like vetting, try-out, seeing in real flesh, advice from professionals, etc. And then the last question for this poll, question 6, would you consider buying a horse at an overseas online auction? Yes or no? So there's some quick questions there. If you could just all do your selections quickly, and then Regular will compile all of this in a little report for us. So here's the poll results. Are you a coach? 70% of the people here tonight are coaches, equestrian coaches. Are you currently looking to buy or sell a horse? 35% looking to buy a horse for myself. 25% looking to buy a horse for a client, and looking to sell a horse 40%. So there's lots of horses in the market, it seems. Have you been to a real life auction either in South Africa or abroad? Half of you have been to an auction in SA, 20% to an auction abroad, and 30% have never been to a real life auction. Are you actually planning on registering, participating? 55% yes, 45% no. Question 5 was, how would you sum up your thoughts about this online auction? So looking forward to this online auction, 55%. 25% cast their eyes on horses to potentially buy. 45% are curious how the online auction would work. None of you lack the technological savvy, so that's great news. Concerned about online fraud, 5%. And not comfortable buying a horse without proper due diligence, 20%. And yeah, no one seems to have a distrust in dealers and auctions, so that's good. And would you consider buying a horse at an overseas online auction? 30% yes, 70% no. So that's what we're dealing with tonight. Now, one of the premier warm blood auctions in South Africa is Callaho. Now, Callaho is widely known as a stud that breeds really exceptional horses for dressage, show jumping, and eventing. Many of my own competitive highlights in the dressage arena was on Callaho owned and Callaho bred horses. And many of our friends also do the annual pilgrimage to Christiana to attend the auction. Now, here tonight, I would like to welcome Ivana Callender-Easby to tell us a bit more about Callaho. So welcome, Ivana. If you can unmute yourself and switch on your video so we can see you.
Hi, Jack.
There she is. Hi, Ivana. Welcome tonight. It's good to see you on the other side. We're just around the corner from Kimberley, but it feels like you're on the other side of the world. Ivana, can you give us a quick overview of who you are, what Callaho is, and what the progression is to today, how it all came to be to today's setup?
Jack, I just want to take a small little minute to say thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak to you here about the auction. It's especially special because you were such an integral part in the foundation of Callaho and helped establish it to where it is today, having been our stud manager for so long. So it's really lucky to check you out again. So the stud started in 1999 after my dad found his passion of riding again after my sister started in high school. And so Callaho is a Warmblood Sport Horse stud. It's situated near Christiana, which is in the Free State. And our goal is to breed world-class sport horses, which will excel at international level. Now, whether we get that in this lifetime or the next, that's the goal that we're working towards. The foundation of our breeding program is a unique band of imported European mares that have either themselves or are immediate relatives to Olympic, international, or European champions. And then we breed from our own menu of stallions and make quite extensive use of frozen semen on the very special ones. But other than that, the annual Callaho auction has grown in popularity over the years. And honestly, we're so delighted at the support that we've received from our fellow equestrian community. So yeah, it's exciting to come here and speak to you guys about the auction.
Yeah, thank you. So how big is your operation currently? What are your annual goals?
So Jack, I actually had a look today. We normally say about between 300 and 400 horses on the farm at any given time. We need between, speaking about what the annual goal is, we need between about 50 to 60 foals every year to prepare for our annual auction of 40 riding horses. And then also what we do is that we then sell plus minus about 10 brood mares. We came to this number because it's a sustainable figure to have a proper auction, and then also to ensure that we are continuously improving the breeding stock that we are breeding from. Obviously, we have wonderful mares, but you breed to get a better horse, and as you evolve, you've got to go through them. So that's kind of our model, and as such, I'd say our goal is the annual Callaho auction every year, which is most of the time held in the autumn. And it's a floor auction, but this year it's something a little bit different. It's an online auction in winter. So, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, something new to deal with. But tell us, what happens in a typical day at Callaho?
It's super busy, but lots of fun. So I'll take you right from the beginning. So our youngsters are raised and born here on the farm. So there's a myriad of different teams that have different functions, which I'll take you through just quickly, briefly. So during the third year of our horses, when they're about 3.5, they're carefully backed and trained. So in general, our horses are on a stud cube, a 14% Romex stud cube. Some of the horses actually live out and eat the natural felt, which we supplement with Aerogrostis and oats during the winter time when they need it. Also, to talk about, we have our farrier here he's on a 6-week rotation. So that happens every week. He services one different group. I mean, I'm telling you these figures, but as you all understand, horses don't read the same books that we do. So I'm just generalizing here. So our horses here are dealt with on an individual basis. So if a horse needs individual attention, that's what it receives. But we have Johnny, who heads up our medical team and goes and treats all the horses. We also have a wonderful vet, Dr. Nico Hendricks. He lives in Herzogsville, and he's been with us from the beginning. So he's involved in all the veterinary aspects of Callaho. And then every single day, all our horses are checked and temperatures are taken. and the riders dabble between the auction horses and the backings.
So when you talk about riders doing the auction horses in the backings, I assume these are work riders that train and exercise the horses. And do you have coaches that support them? Tell us a little bit about the actual riding part, please.
Okay, so we have quite a stringent and strict protocol in place for potential candidate work riders here at Callaho. We encourage, so when riders come and work at Callaho, we encourage them to stay from one auction period to the next. And the reason we do that is so that they can really reap the benefit of the theory and practical learning perspective of the entire process, Jack. Going from, all the way from the backing and then all through the next phases, which I will explain a little bit to you just now. But the riders, in terms of what they need to work here, they have to have the basics of classical training. Obviously, they need to be young and fit in good health. What's extremely important is that they have good natural balance. And I think actually probably the most important attribute that they need is that they need to want to learn. We have a very specific way that we train our horses here, which I'll elaborate on, but it's important for the riders to fully engage in our method so that there's a cohesive and consistent classical language being taught to all the horses. So talking to you about how we get these riders and things is, in the past, it was quite a struggle to get really good work riders because Callaho is quite far in proximity from the capital cities. However, what has been wonderful is over the past few years, Callaho has kind of established itself as a place where young people can go and really hone in on their equestrian skills. So so here they're really thrown in the thick of it. From backing and training of the horses, weekend duties and medicines, they get quite a robust education here, working with the volume of horses that they do and also the attention to detail on each horse. So they definitely do get exposed to many theoretical tools in working with all the horses. But I think because of this, Jack, we are now really enjoying an exceptional caliber of rider here at Callaho, and the girls are doing such a wonderful job. To answer your question about who coaches them, Grant Storr, who's our stud manager, is the consistent eye on the ground. He's a member of the South African Sports Coaching Association, and he's designed our training protocol and kind of oversees the progression along with our training manager, Annette Rousseau. She's been with us for 3 years. She started as a work rider herself, and she's also obviously now progressed to being a training manager. So our training curriculum, if I can give you a short overview, it's we've divided it into phases. So a horse doesn't progress to the next phase until it's working well and happy to do so. And generally we have about 4 training phases. So just to quickly tell you what they are, it's the backing phase, and then after our horses are backed, they actually go into the 3 phase, which I think Callaho has become known for, that our horses go through. And that's actually their first hint into it, because before we go into the main arena and schools and show them poles and things, we encourage them to willingly go over natural obstacles. And I think that's also what makes them so brave when the clients get them at the end of the day, because they've been exposed to such an array of different environments. And then obviously they go into the ring and we expose them to trotting poles and small jumps like that. And then basically the last phase is auction preparation, which is such fun. More advanced work, free jumping, blanketing and boxing. So that's where the real fun starts. I think it's important to just emphasize to you guys that we by no means say that we sell school-going horses. These horses are young horses right at the very beginning of their training phase. So we definitely do encourage people, when they have bought a horse from us, just to give it a little bit of a holiday while it acclimatizes to its new environment.
Thank you. Now, you've opted to do South Africa's first online horse auction. Can you please tell us what it is? How will it work? How is this online story going to work, actually?
I'd love to tell you. I've made a little presentation to show you exactly how it's going to work. I'll run you through that. But just to tell you, why we made this pivot to online, Jack, we had obviously the option to do it or not. We could have either waited to the summer and hoped that things normalized, or we could use this time to just test where we are and look, digital disruption is upon us. So we might think that we're many years away, but actually we're not. So I think the lockdown period just accelerated this natural progression. I mean, in Europe, online sport auctions are prolific. I mean, last weekend I sent you a list. I think it maybe was seven sport horse auctions. So I think, why not use this opportunity to see what's out there and just see, you know, we have nothing to lose. So Jack, I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, so I thought what I would do to make it quite nice and easy is actually show you guys exactly what the interface is going to look like, take you through the website, how to bid, the whole thing, so that you can see how user-friendly it is, or how user-friendly we've tried our best to make it. So the website URL is www.callaho.auction. You will be redirected to the site if you do go to our mother site. There's many opportunities where we've said online auction that you can just click straight through. So don't worry that you won't be able to get there. I just wanted to show you the interface in the beginning of our home screen, and I just wanted to briefly touch on the different things so that you know where to go. On the home screen, it's just a little forward and welcome from Ian to our online Callaho auction, and thank you for taking this leap of faith with us. And this collections tab is actually the most important tab. I will be explaining that to you in our next slide, and I'll show you exactly what it looks like. But that is where all the horses are loaded, all the information is there, and that's actually where the auction will be taking place. So I just want to emphasize now that don't feel that you have to register to watch the auction. Anyone can watch the auction, whether you register or not. The reason why you might want to register is for one of two things. If you register now, there's a feature where if you go to the collections tab and you're particularly interested in a horse, because the auction is only happening in a week, where it would naturally have said bid now, it actually says alert me of this auction. So if you're interested in a particular horse, select that, and when he comes up for auction, which is next week Monday, it will actually send you an alert email to say the auction's begun. So that's just a nice little feature, but you don't have to be registered to watch the auction. Anyone's going to be able to watch the auction. So just moving on to our auction process, I actually showed what the drop down is going to look like. We thought it was very important to just have this little how to bid tab. It's been an area of concern for many people, obviously, because this is something most of us have never done before. So between Ian and I, we really made it quite basic and quite simple in steps for you about how to bid. I also did a question and answer video session with HQ, which we will actually be publishing tomorrow. It's basically the same, a visual guide in how this is all going to work, if it's easier for you to watch instead of read our whole thing. And then the terms and conditions are please there for everyone to read. It's important. And then our vetting protocol. So for the first time, we're showing you the full vetting protocol of how we go about it. There's also contact details of Grant. He's the man responsible for giving you all the vetting requests that you need. And then this is just something that I want to touch on here. The after-sale services is something that we've never offered before. Many times when people buy our horses, they ask if the horses can actually stay at Callaho and enjoy a little holiday. But I think now also because of the lockdown and the restrictions on travel, what we've decided to do is people obviously can take their horse immediately home if they would like, but we are offering 3 different packages. We can keep the horse for you in the paddocks and they can just rest, or we can keep the horse in light work for you, keeping it lunging and in the walker, or we can actually keep riding the horse for you. That's no schooling or anything, it's just field and track work. So people will be able to choose from those 3 options should they want to. We are very excited to have teamed up with HQ, who every evening are going to be giving us an article about the previous day's auction, which you'll be able to read under news. And then obviously a contact page for all of us for if you're running into any technical difficulty, which I'll show you at the end. So that's that, if we can get started, exactly how it's all going to work. Okay, so this is actually what the collections page looks like. I feel like I'm running into a little technical difficulty here. But just to show you briefly, if you click on the collections page, you're going to see the 8 brood mares in foal and the 37 sport horses that we have on offer. There's all the general information on each horse. If you go and click into an individual horse, you'll see their pedigree, their suggested utility, rider performance, pedigree performance. We've filmed new videos for everyone to see, because obviously we understood that a huge thing for people is coming to the Friday evening free jumping, and now obviously you're not going to have that opportunity. So we filmed new videos where we had horses moving freely through the figure of 8 and a new set of free jumping videos. The progression between our first set of videos and these ones, you can see the horses have really grown and gotten so much stronger. So from this page, it will be leading on to the next, I'll show you. But from this page is where all the bidding is going to happen. So you can see here, it says auction is going to start on Monday, and then here is the start price. But when auction actually does begin, you'll be able to see the current price there, and that's where you'll be able to click in and say, and place a bid. But just before I show you how to place a bid, I thought I'd use the opportunity to explain to you guys how we're going to be sequencing the horses over the days, and just explain to you the reason why we did do that was predominantly in Europe, there's only about 15 to 20 horses on one actual auction. And with us, there's going to be 47. So imagine 47 horses all start ending on the same day. It's going to be chaos. So what we decided to do was divide the group of horses into 4 groups. So let me take it to you from the beginning. So bidding on all the horses is going to start on Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning, June 22nd. So when I say bidding on all horses, you can place a bid on any of the 46 horses, irrespective of which group it's in. But the reason why we have divided them into groups in the same order as the printed catalogue is so that you can, we're going to close each session, one group per evening, every evening from Wednesday, the 24th, until Saturday. So bidding on individual horses will close sequentially, one lot at a time, every 10 minutes. So if I can explain to you in practice how this is going to work, lot 1 is going to come to, his auction is going to come to a close on Wednesday at 6:30. So then the next horse is going to come to a close 10 minutes later, which is going to be 20 to 7. And that's kind of how it's going to work. So, which makes it a little bit easier for everyone, is that on each horse's profile, the time in which his auction is going to close is going to be indicated on a countdown clock. Many people have asked us if the trick of the auction is just to bid quickly in the last minute and hope that it's yours. That's actually not how this infrastructure works. It's a lot calmer, and everyone knows that if the bid is theirs. It's called the 5-minute rule. So if a bid is placed in the last 5 minutes before the specified closing time, then a new 3-minute bidding extension opens, commencing from the time the last bid was placed. So as I say, if you place a bid in those last 5 minutes, you immediately get an email notification to say that you have placed a bid. And then the highest bidder then gets an email notification to say that they have been counterbid, and they have had an extension of 3 minutes in which they can then place another counterbid. So if no bids have been placed in the last 5 minutes, it's fair and square, and the bid will go to the highest bidder. The horse will go to the highest bidder. Okay, so just to make it a whole lot easier for everyone, I would just like to show you exactly what the auction timetable is going to be. Don't get confused here that it says lot 2. We've unfortunately had to withdraw lot 1. So lot 2 is going to be the first horse on auction. And just exactly as you see it, it's going to be like this. The first horse is going to close on Wednesday evening at 6:30, and then so forth after 10-minute intervals. And that's how it's going to work on Wednesday evening, Thursday evening, Friday evening, with the last horse being auctioned off on Saturday evening. Okay, so I can actually just get you started now that I hope you guys understand how it's going to work on how to bid. As I said, the first step is registering to bid. On the home page in the very right-hand corner, there's a little icon that says register or login. Please click on that. Immediately you'll be prompted by an electronic form that you'll fill in, and then you'll get an email activation. You'll get an activation email. If you haven't received the email immediately in your inbox, please just check your spam folder and then click activate. If you have any problems with your account, please don't hesitate to phone me and I can help you from the back end. So this is how it's going to look. Let me just contextualize this for you first. When you've gone to the collections tab and you've seen all the different horses, and let's say that this is lot number 2, Valkyrie, who you decide you want to bid on. This block here is actually just white, but this is exactly the way it's going to look. The reason why this block is green is because I had then opted to place a bid of 80,000 Rand on him, and I said place bid. And then I confirmed. So then to indicate to me that the highest bid right now is mine, the block is now green. As soon as someone counterbids, you get an email notification to say that you have been counterbid, and your block goes white again. So it's not just with the email notification. If you can see here where my cursor is, over here where it said login registered, now says Ivana, because I registered and I made myself a profile. If you click on that little drop down, you'll see on your user dashboard, there's a tab that says my bids. Any horse that you place a bid on, you'll be able to see there with the whole history of the bidding. So if you're on the top, your bid is in green, and then you'll see underneath that your counter bid in red. And as soon as you've been counter bid, your green block, as I said, is going to go white. So you'll know whether the bid is on you or not, either through your dashboard or through your email notifications. Something that I'd just like to bring your attention to is that the bidding on the riding horses is going to start at 70,000 Rand, and bidding on broodmares will start at 40,000 Rand. And then immediately on closure of the bidding, the last bidder will immediately be informed via email that their bid has been accepted by Callaho. And then I just put this up here for you guys each to see the different people should you have the different inquiries. If it's anything to do with vet-related inquiries, please get into contact with Grant. He'll be available at any time. With Marika, if you can't get hold of Grant, she'll also be able to help you with your vet inquiries and your x-rays. And she will also be the lady that's going to be responsible for the after-sale packages and organizing transport for your horses. As we said, it was wonderful that we were able to have tryouts just before the lockdown period. I think we were open for about 2 weeks before lockdown, which was wonderful. We were quite overwhelmed at the response and the people that came to sit on the horses. And then unfortunately lockdown happened, which was a concern to us. We didn't want to go into the online auction, not having people be able to come and try the horses again. So again, we are now able to have the tryout period, and we will extend this up until the Wednesday of auction. So if you would like to book a tryout period, or if you just like to speak to Annette about the specific horses that you're interested in, please contact her. She'd love to help you. And then lastly, it's with me. If you experience any problems with the online auction process, if you're having troubles with your bid or your account or anything, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'll be available. And that's that, Jack.
That was actually quite clear, even for me. Now, we sit within a room full of coaches here. Ivana, is there anything that Callaho, would like to say to them tonight? How do we as coaches fit into your Callaho program?
Jack, we can't stress enough the value that the coaches have. Coaches and the client advisors are integral in the process of ensuring that our horses go to the right people. In bringing their riders, the intended satisfaction, and helping our horses realize their genetic potential. So we cannot emphasize enough how important it is to our clients to ensure that their coaches are every bit part of the decision process as they can be. Having your coach's vested interest in you and your horse creates a channel of accountability and assurance that they'll be invested in making a success of your partnership. So Jack, honestly, to answer your question, we work extremely closely with the coaches and invite them in every touch point with us. Yeah,
thank you. That's good to know. So anyone out there with questions? I've got quite a few in my private box here. Lot number 1 has been withdrawn. Will that come up for sale later?
Unfortunately not. After the second set of radiographs were taken, we've had to take her and Contanga lot 35 off the auction. I can't assure you that she might not come on auction as a broodmare later on, but not as a riding horse, Jack.
Okay, thank you. And then, can you ever buy any horses outside of an auction? It's pretty similar, but yeah, if you could just give some answer to that.
I think when Ian first knew that he wanted to breed horses and kind of think about the logistics of it, he understood that, and I mean, this is why we've always stuck to the auction platform. It's a one day where everyone comes to your horses and buys them. So selling out of hand was never really an interest of his, and it's something that we won't stray from at all. because, you know, how do you measure which horses you decide to sell out of hand, and how do you measure which ones go to auction? So just as a general rule for Callaho is that we stick by our auction platform. It's the fairest. I mean, your buyer tells you what he's prepared to buy, and you meet in the middle somewhere.
Okay, then there's another question here. I'm just making these all anonymous, guys, so you don't have to worry then if you... what is Callaho's view on a dressage breeding program?
Absolutely, Jack. So we obviously in the beginning had Benicio and the possibility to breed with him and try to breed dressage prospects, if I'm understanding your question correctly. But now we have specialized dressage mares, and we are using Benicio on them. And also what has been so encouraging, Jack, is that Larison, who we thought was our predominant jumping contributor, as you can see in the videos, produces these beautiful moving horses. So without a doubt, I'd say the greater proportion of our breeding program certainly is with the show jumpers, but there's definitely a focused effort with the dressage community.
Thank you. Right, one more question here. What happens if a horse does not reach the minimum bid?
What happens if a horse doesn't reach its minimum bid?
Yes.
So
if there's no bid on the horse, what does it just stay over, or what happens?
Oh, so this is an interesting question, and something that Ian has always dabbled with and wanted to do. He always said if no one ever stuck their hand up for a horse in the auction hall, he would say, who would like to take this horse for free? But unfortunately, he's never been put to it. So, I mean, it could happen. I suppose it could happen. And also because of the nature of internet, we could quickly put a notification up to say, well, who is willing to take this horse for free? But I don't think that will be the case.
So I think it's just worthwhile for everyone to tune in, because maybe there is a horse that an ordinary coach can afford. Thank you, Ivana. I think that's the end of the question. If there's anyone else with a question, please put up your hand or write something in the chat. Thank you, Ivana. This auction sounds very exciting. I'm sure many of us will go and register now to attend this auction. So Regular, if you can just put up all the contact details for us again. So you'll see the contact details of Callaho again. So for Ivana, if you want to get hold of her, there it is, Callaho Stud, Ivana Callender-Easby, with her email and telephone number, and also the website there in red, callaho.auction. Then also the website for the South African Lobedzana fundraiser, Back a Buddy. So if you could go there, I'm sure Callaho is going to make a nice big contribution to the Lobedzanas. Thank you, Callaho. And then the YouTube channel. So this webinar will be on the YouTube channel kind of midday tomorrow, I'm sure. So Equestrian Coach SA, one word, team, the next word, if you just search for that on YouTube. And then our email, if you want to go on the mailing list or want to be included, then please just link there. Right, everyone, we'll be back in 14 days. So we won't be back next Tuesday, but the week after that, we'll be back in 14 days for another webinar for Equestrian Coaches by Equestrian Coaches. And yeah, we just hope that everyone stays warm in this cold weather and stays safe, COVID-free, and hopefully we have some shows soon. So everyone, thank you. Thank you, Ivana, for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for taking the time to join our webinar. And have a good night. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thanks, Jack.